Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since we've been in the studio, but we're back here again and we're here to unbox a pair of shoes. One of my favorite things to do here in Honeycomb, Manila. If this is your first time on the page, please do click the like button and subscribe and leave a comment. That does help us a lot and it helps direct people to our content, lets the algorithm know. Why don't you let me know what your favorite cafe is? Anywhere in the world. What's your favorite cafe? Let me know in the comment section down below. All right, so today we are unboxing a Nike SB, and this is the Nike SB Dunk Low Futura 2024. Now that is important to note because Futura is a longtime collaborator of Nike, and this is actually the 20th anniversary of his first, not really his first. In terms of the history, there was another one that kind of had like a special color blocking in like blue, gray, and black. The colors reminiscent of the trains he used to paint on. Very basic colorway that was released in 2003. And then the next year, one of the bands that he had collaborated with a lot was a band called Uncle with a K. And so they came out with a version of the Dunk called the Dunkle. Now, it's not clear to me whether or not that was a proper collaboration, not quite like an official release, but the actual kind of first like collaboration that was like a special colorway was the Flom, or the For Love of Money Dunk that was made together with Nike SB. Kind of to bring things full circle, they did release a Dunk that has some of the same vibes of that original Dunkle, not the same vibes, but the idea of having Futura's art actually on the Dunk. Now the Flom didn't have any actual like Futura art on it. It had kind of a concept, and this is very Futura, to have kind of like an abstract idea that he wanted to communicate, and so he's able to do that, but there was no actual paintings on the sneaker. And after that came out, another very kind of seminal Nike Dunk came out, SB Dunk, which was the Powers Dunk. And kind of the first time when the actual artworks were put on the sneaker, it became very limited. It was part of the White Dunk collection, which is kind of a seminal Nike movement with all of this NRG movement in the early 2000s. That sneaker was very limited, and it was the first time that we were able to put artwork directly on the sneaker. And I think Futura kind of felt like, well, I want to do that. And so now is the time when they got to do it. What does it look like? Let's find out. The label says Nike SB Dunk Low OG QS. QS stands for Quick Strike Bleached Aqua Geo Teal Dash White in the colorway. Inside the box, this is the paper all Nike SBs come in now, and they have wood print on it. So kind of to mimic the veneer of a skate deck. Oh, look at that. We'll put this aside. Inside the box, there's also a sticker. It's also in that same white. And we'll put this here. All right, so this is the Futura Nike Dunk Low 2024, size 9.5, which is my size. We'll get into sizing towards the end of the video. But first, let's talk about the features of this sneaker and the design. Futura is, of course, a graffiti artist, kind of one of the OG graffiti artists. I'm a huge fan of his. Even though he had writing and he had characters, a lot of what he had to say he conveyed through abstract work. Which brings us to the Nike Dunk Low. And what you see here is the abstract work of Futura portrayed on the Dunk itself. And so these paintings that are on the sneaker are actually Futura artworks from the 80s. The particular piece that's on this blue sneaker. And then there's another one that's like a friends and family pair. And that features another painting, but both are kind of from that era, abstract paintings from the 80s. The material is kind of a nylon mesh and canvas, and it's pretty tough stuff. Like when I first saw this white material, I thought that it was something very similar to Cordura mesh. I have some Cordura bags that are Carhartt, but once I thought about that Cordura Carhartt bag, I thought, oh, it's closer to a lot of like Carhartt material. So it is very rugged, and you know, the worry about textile sneakers is that they'll wear out fast, and if you skate them, they will wear out, don't get me wrong, but this is sturdy and it will last quite a bit of time. And using that sturdy canvas allowed them to treat the shoe as a canvas. And you see here throughout all of the panels, you have Futura's abstract artwork. And if you are a fan, then you can spot certain like key features that you see repeat in his art, certain lines and shapes, and kind of capturing the emotion through abstract work. Now the left pair and the right pair are quite different. Abstract colors, heavy features of teal on the exterior side, on the lateral sides of the shoes. And then when you flip to the inside, you get a lot more mismatch. You have this orange, I guess that's a geode teal, kind of some purple here. And I think it really connects a lot about what the dude's about in terms of kind of driving a feeling, driving an idea. It really is less about what the specifics are on the artwork, whether it be a sneaker or otherwise, and more about what it's like when you take a step back and see the whole thing and get a feeling about it. And that's what you see with this sneaker. Now there are some cool details we'll dive into right now, but before that I did want to show you the entire shoe so that you could get a feeling. All right, now in detail, yeah, they are mismatched. We'll start with the tongue because this is a Nike SB Dunk low. You have the fat padded tongue that comes on your Nike SBs. The last is slightly different on all Nike Dunk Low Pros, and that's for a few reasons. One, I think it's so that you can get more control when you're skating and you have a tighter toe box versus your regular dunks. Most regular dunks can have a more square-shaped toe, and this one's more pointed. As a result, you can feel that on the inside. We'll come to sizing and fit later, but you should know it does get more narrow here in the front. Now it does come laced with these special laces. They're oval style laces that start teal with a blue outline kind of piping, and then later on it transfers to that blue higher up. It's like a light blue, it's like a light blue, dark baby blue, kind of like that. Teal on the tongue tag, and it says Futura Nike SB. That Nike SB is written in that Futura handwriting font that he uses for his tag. That is his graffiti tag for his old, he's now Futura, he used to be Futura 2000. And then there is a kind of light purple piping that goes around the edge of that fat tongue. Matching that tongue, you do have a set of extra laces. If you do skate them and you do rip up these laces, at least you have one to swap out for. That's kind of the purpose of the extra laces in a Nike SB sneaker. Swooshes in dark teal, and then of course that beautiful printed upper on all of the overlay panels. Here on the lateral side, you have the Futura signature, which I love. I actually like this more than I like the Futura Laboratories FL sign. If you're a fan of the Futura clothing wear and kind of apparel line, the brand, then you probably do prefer that FL. But me, coming from the art side, from the gallery canvas side, I like this signature over here, and I like that it appears multiple times, one on either side, on the lateral side of either sneaker. One's on the tongue. There's one on the insole, we'll get that later, but there's also one on the outsole, and that kind of sneaks us here onto the traction. You have an icy blue outsole that's transparent or translucent, and you know, then it has all of the standard features of a Nike Dunk with this circular toe pattern similar to a Jordan 1, and then the Nike here is embossed out. And underneath you have one more Futura signature. The cup sole is white contrast stitching with teal. And then yeah, the signature there, and on the opposite side, you have the Futura Labs logo, FL. Now that appears on both sneakers. What does not appear on both sneakers, on the medial side, is this element of stitching right here. And I really like that. That's my favorite feature on both sneakers. One is because I like to take a lot of pictures of my feet, and when I tilt my feet inwards, I'm gonna be able to see that. So I like that that's on the inside. I feel like that one's for me, or for the wearer. The other thing I really like about it is that feels very much to me like a callback to Futura's canvas work, where he has a lot of these lines and circles that kind of repeat over and over, kind of like this universe inspired by sci-fi. You know, he had the 2000 in his name, Futura 2000, because of Space Odyssey, which is a sci-fi film, and a lot of this is inspired by sci-fi. This feels like that scene in Battlestar Galactica where they're flying through the nebula and Starbuck reappears. Oh, it's one of my favorite scenes in all of TV history. And you know, this feels very much like what you see in those things, and that's kind of what I feel when I see Futura work. Is I feel otherworldly and spaced out and in awe. One of the things also that I like about his work is that because he was there for the birth of graffiti, I always describe it as an era or a voice, an emotion that got unlocked when the spray can came into art creation, because that was a piece of technology that didn't exist before. And then when they invented it, it unlocked a whole new level of energy that could be communicated through art, whether it be on canvas, on trains, you know, vandalism. And you can't say it enough. He was a vandal, right? He is a vandal, and once a vandal, once a punk, always a vandal, always a punk. And you know, those first dunks that featured the artworks of Buffet, I think was the name of the late Buffet, French artist, a Parisian artist. So these new dunks are fierce attempts to get his own artwork, his own canvases onto the canvas surface of the dunk. Which is interesting because that's kind of the history of the dunk and of that white dunk movement in the early 2000s, because the history of the Nike dunk before it was SB was that true to your school line, where schools could change the color of the dunk based on, you know, what their school was. And the technology at the time, cutting edge, was that you could put different colors on leather. So the customizability of the shoe was a big part of the storyline of the dunk. Little red eyelet on both sides, only one reinforced eyelet. On the back side, you have the heel tab. It's gray. I saw some pictures that made it appear that these were 3M and reflective, but I've been using my cell phone camera and I haven't been able to get it to reflect quite the way that I see other 3M reflecting. So I'm not sure if that's the case. There's the insole. It has his signature repeating over and over. It also has Nike Dunk Low also repeating. There are quotation marks, which for those in the sneaker culture might think is a tribute to the late Virgil Abloh and Off-White, but it's not. This is a graffiti thing that's done, is that you put the, you know, the quotation marks around your tag. And so he brings that culture into here. You have here at the bottom, finally, the Futura artist signature, the Futura Laboratories logo. And this is an interesting distinction because that's his brand. So I think that Futura is deliberately trying to say that this is a brand collaboration. It is also a personal artwork collaboration with Nike SB, and that Nike SB is the final logo of the three there. But because they're the same size, I think that's a little bit of a hint. You flip it over, you have the standard foam that goes around, that's kind of a carrier foam. And then in the toe, you have a much softer cushion for landing. It's kind of a crash pad. I'm not sure what it's made of, but it feels very much to me like polyurethane. And then on the heel, you have a Nike Zoom Air unit. And that serves as a crash pad for when you're skating or when you're walking. So this is kind of the secret of the Nike Dunk Low Pro, which nobody ever really talks about. It really is that insole. And even if you're buying sneakers for casual, for day-to-day wear, that's kind of the reason why you want a Nike SB Dunk Low Pro. Is one, the SBs tend to be just that little bit more creative, but also because you'll have that extra cushion, impact protection, and comfort coming from them, given that you're wearing a shoe that is not first and foremost designed for comfort. It's designed for function and then creativity, kind of the ethos of skateboarding, and then finally comfort, right? And impact protection. And that's why the Nike Dunk Low Pro is so heavily padded here around the collar, the tongue, and then that insole. Oh, last is the tongue on Nike SB Dunk Lows also have the tongue gartered in place so it doesn't spin. It's not quite gusseted, it just kind of holds the tongue in place. And so with all of these features combined, the sneaker tends to get a little bit tighter, just a little bit. Now, I do have my true size here, and I have put them on and they do fit. But with all of my Nike Dunk Low Pros, I prefer to go half a size up. Now, this is a limited release. I had to get this size. But if you are going to be buying a Nike Dunk Low Pro, whether it be this one or not, it's not a bad idea to go up half a size.
Now, I have been wearing the Futura Dunk Lows for 2 days now, and in terms of sizing, you can still go through the size. You do loosen up a bit because it's fabric. It kind of comes all tightened up, and then as you move around, the fibers loosen up, unlike leather where that might take a little bit longer.
Now, Futura started off in the early 70s with all of those OG guys who started writing back then on trains in New York. So it's part of that first wave. You know, names like Crash and Stash, Hayes, all those guys are from that era. His contemporaries and some of the shows that he did, like gallery shows back then, Jean-Michel Basquiat, Andy Warhol, work was documented by Martha Cooper. So a lot of very OG characters in the street art and graffiti world. If you want to know more about it, you can actually watch a very okay movie called Wild Style, which apparently Futura was also connected to during that era, but you actually get to see a young Crash in that movie if you can get your hands on it. Anyway, so during that era, he was already writing on trains, and he made some very famous trains where he had painted the entire car, which was unusual. Like, most people had the approach of just like writing their name, their tag on the side of the car, doing a piece on the side of the train car. And Futura actually wrapped the entire car in a piece, and that became quite famous as his signature. But after that, you know, there wasn't that much of an industry or a business around what they did. But that's the thing that really draws me to Futura, is that he wasn't just pure graffiti, or it's probably better to say that he was a graffiti artist, but most of the work that he ended up doing was kind of driven by graphic design. And he kind of went back and forth between whether he was doing graphic design or it was just kind of his graffiti aesthetic finding its way into the stuff that he was designing. So he actually would tour with The Clash, and he would paint in the 80s, like 81, 84, he would paint the backdrop of the sets of The Clash, that original wave of counterculture punk rock. And he was this dark-skinned dude touring with them in London, in Europe, and he would paint the backdrop while they were performing. He did some terrible rap. You can find it on YouTube if you search for the Futura rap. He raps about what he's doing, and it's terrible. But I think all of that was kind of like in his journey to find his voice in all of this, right? That he grew up in an era where graffiti was the prevailing new art form, that he spoke with that medium. So that's it for the Nike Dunk Low Futura in 2024. Do you have any questions? Let me know. Did you get them? There's a guy here on the same floor as us who won the sneakers raffle and got them. I got these in We Legendary, which is our local skate shop. Are you a fan of Futura? Are you a fan of Nike Dunk Lows? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Until then, I wish you guys good luck, good health, great pickups. Peace.